looking at what opportunities we have here going into our afternoon. So you're looking at the ES chart here. This is a 12-hour chart, and this is the last 30 days, 30 days and some change. We came out of these lows, which were a profit target here, coming out of the end of March, the beginning of April. We had traditionals, which went to and through a profit target, and then traded extensions. Those went to and through profit targets, and then we were front run inside of new extensions. Those went to and through their profit targets. And right now we have an extension of an extension of an extension that we are potentially inside of right now. And what is interesting about this extension is that when you're looking at it from the perspective of our previous highs to highs, there's actually quite a lot of room for us to make a pullback and into a next measured move. But what is interesting, even more interesting about this, is that this is inverse of what the VIX is inside of from the perspective of last week's, where it's this week's lows to highs. And so the VIX has this week's highs to lows as its bearish setup, which is the inverse of the indices inside of their bullish setup. And then that extension is even a more conservative entry than the more aggressive Monday's lows to highs. And so we're going into the second half of the week here, coming out of the doldrums on Wednesday. The week is half over. And there's room for a pullback into an extension. And so the question is now is what would keep, or what is going to signal to us a larger pullback into support, actually pulling back into this extension? And as we came into our morning time frame, we had another pro gap and go type of situation. And there was a smaller extension long level that we were running into. And it was essentially drawn from Monday's highs to highs. And this is the bullish setup that we ran into in the morning. And it did not complete its profit target. You could even make a case here that there's an overnight lows to highs that we haven't even traded back down into support inside of. And so even from the perspective of our longer term time frame, we have an intraday setup that really does continue to keep us from trading back down into those larger extensions that still exist below us. And so we'll just look at that here from the perspective of the 15-minute time frame. As we came out of our morning, we had these trap sellers that created a bid coming out of these 73.31s. And then we went straight into the beginning of the daily doldrums. And then right at 11:15, we had essentially our first red bar for the day. And that is what has been sold into going into our afternoon. Now we're coming out of the afternoon and we had this, it's a pullback. It's essentially one of the only pullbacks for the trading day. And you can see here where we just closed at 115 off of our previous lows. And it's going to be interesting to see as we move into the afternoon. This close here was at the 59. Will that 59 act to support and lead us into a continuation of a rally? And that's what we can watch for here as we move forward into the afternoon. It's a pro gap up and go. There's no trend break to anticipate that there's a move back down into the direction of the gap fill. And none of our leading indicators would really suggest at this point that we have anything other than a grind higher. The VIX is still inside of its resistance levels. Let's look at that a little bit closer here. Again, the VIX is still inside of its resistance levels. What is Bank doing? This stream continues at eMiniAddict.com. The link is in the description. Join me there for tools and resources for learning measured move trading. I wrote the book on the measured move. Check out the hundreds of others that have learned trading plan development, pattern recognition, money management, and trading discipline with me to become the best, most confident trader that you can be.